Krishna just so told in the 7th chapter that Sahasranam Manusheshu Kaschit Yatati Siddhaye Yatadam Siddhanam Kaschin Maham Veda Tattvaha. Out of thousands and thousands amongst men, hardly one knows me in truth. It's very difficult to know Krishna for the reason that there are many distractions in this process. There are so many material desires, especially when we talk about lust for money or women or men or whatever it is. There is difficult. It's not easy. And there are anxieties, there are doubts. Doubts are created by desires, actually. Sometimes we think, I have doubts because Krishna is displeased with me or something like that. But all doubts are basically existing for the reason that it is caused by excessive material desires. That's the reason one actually has doubts. So, if one is able to conquer these desires, then gradually all doubts will be gone. Gradually. So it requires determination. It is not easy. So the question then right now is then how do we overcome desires? Right? That's the question. So Krishna is telling in the 2nd chapter. Nispraha sarva kamebhya. Right? So one who can have nispraha. Nispraha means to touch. Touch something is spraha. So nispraha sarva kamebhya. So if one is able to give up all material desires, then he's sita prajna sadocchate. He is actually sita prajna. He is fixed in intelligence. Krishna mentioned this. Now, 7th chapter, Krishna is saying, it's very difficult to know me. Hardly one knows me in truth. Many thousands of people come to me, but hardly one knows me. Says, and here Krishna is saying, tasyāhaṁ sulabha pārtha. I'm very easy to obtain. So the difference is though is Krishna is saying, Ananya Chetaha Satatam. Ananya Chetaha. It's a very nice point. There are 2 points here. Ananya Chetaha means that there is no other shelter. Shelter means what? Like we have 3 needs, right? Need for stability, need for curiosity, need for shelter means need for someone has to guarantee that I'll have good health. Everything is good, right? I need good shelter first of all. That is why I'm not getting in the material world. That's why I'm anxious, right? So I need my thoughts for shelter are right now going towards matter. So I'm very anxious right now, very anxious. So these are the 3 needs I have. The need for shelter, the need for knowledge, the need for love. So Ananya means all these needs that I have are not oriented towards Krishna because it is like a mental concentration exercise, but just that we realize that he's the only one actually who can fulfill that urge actually. So that's what it comes out of. That we realize, okay, I cannot have this by my own means. I cannot have it by my own, my abilities. It's not going to happen like that. So this can happen only by Krishna's. This can happen only when we realize that our nature itself is to depend on Krishna. This is the only way we can accomplish this. But without such an understanding, one is falsely thinking Anya Vishayam. Anya Vishayam means I'm thinking of other things worthy of giving me pleasure or worthy of relieving my pain. This is Ajnana ultimately. So, Ananya Chetaha. So, if my consciousness is fixed either in the Jnanam that Krishna is the person who can actually fulfill this, all my needs at the same time, right? Right now, I'm not even able to get my desire for stability fulfilled. Right? Even in my body, there are so many problems. So if something is not even stable, if there is no shelter I'm getting, then how can I start being curious or enjoy Like go to someone in the hospital and someone who's lying down in pain, writhing in pain, ask him about what's the features for the newest iPhone. He's not curious because his existence is threatened, right? So wherever existence is threatened, wherever there is no shelter, one cannot be curious, and if one cannot be curious, then one cannot enjoy. And even after being curious, you need to find something that attends to your curiosity, that is worthy of your curiosity. And it could be anything. I mean, it could be good food. You're curious, and then you enjoy the good food, or it's it's some relationship, or it's some place you go to. It's a vacation. It's a job I'm looking for. It's a promotion I'm looking for. I'm curious, right? I don't know how it feels like being like a director. I don't know how it feels like being a CEO of a company. So I'm curious. So being curious, I make an effort. Um, and then I want to enjoy. So, what is the first thing? I know basically the existence, right? So, if I know by knowledge that actually Krishna is only in the existence of Krishna can I find true stability that my soul actually deserves and desires, right? So that's not deserves nonsense, but yeah, I mean, ultimately. So if we understand this point, then that is a jnana way of understanding Ananya Chetaha Satatam. Always remembering Krishna. That this point that yes, I have to find shelter in Krishna. That okay, there is no material world will not make me happy and all that. So Ananya, there is no other thought. Ananya Cheta. At a given point of time, my hopes are not diverted to so many things. We are all hopeful of something in this life. In this world, we are hopeful. Some hope is there that this will make me happy, that will make me happy. If you go into the corners of your heart and ask yourself, like, what are my hopes? Like, just introspect, like, where do I hope? Like, by doing this, I'll be happy. There is some hope in all of us. That's why we are living. If you are completely hopeless, you would all want to commit suicide. So there is some hope, okay? And that hope is what causes hopelessness also. So it's like two sides of the same coin. So Ananya Chetaha means Ananya. All my hopes for everything. That is the meaning of Vasudevaha Sarvamiti. All my hopes for existence, hopes for stability, hopes to be excited, hopes to be loved, hopes to love, everything is oriented towards this one beautiful person, Krishna. So when all these, every bit of my energy, every bit of my thought, every bit of my intellectual faculty, every bit of my effort I'm undergoing in my life is completely redirected towards Krishna, then I can actually understand who's Krishna. Okay, that is the only way we can understand Krishna, because Krishna is revealed only through bhakti. Sometimes we can think, oh, Krishna consciousness is boring. Why does Krishna consciousness appear boring? Because I actually didn't understand Krishna. And why did I not understand Krishna? Because I didn't take the effort even for one moment. So if we just take for one moment, we don't have to think I have to do it for my entire life. Just take for one moment, okay, all our effort, all. One second, I'm in the store and he's like, shouting at the top of the lungs. Okay, so I was going to say, we don't even take that effort for even one moment. So, and because we are not taking that effort even once, then what happens is we think this is boring. But if someone took that effort even for one moment, which means that I I I I drag every bit of my attention and I rest it on Krishna. It could be even by force. If it is by force, it is by Ashtanga Yoga. But by love, right? So if I understand my relationship with me and the Lord, and I bring, I do this Ananya, even I do it once, because Krishna is saying Ananya Chetaha Satatam. Satatam means you have to do it always. But forget doing it always. Even forget doing it for 2 hours during your chanting. But let's talk about just doing it for one moment. If we experience this pleasure, experience the pleasure means experience how natural it is to do this, right? What is like, to to, to, to realize that anything else other than this, that bringing all my efforts into one place actually doesn't make any sense. So if I experience the pleasure of connecting to Krishna, Ananya, even for one moment, I experience this comfort, Ananya Chetaha Satatam. Now Krishna says, okay, experience it 1 minute, one moment, do it for the next moment. So when we do it for one moment, then Krishna will give you a glimpse of him for that one moment. Krishna will not say, you have to do Satatam, only then you will realize me. No. If I do Ananya Bhakti, even for one moment, Krishna is addicted to Ananya Bhakti. Ananya Bhakti means exclusively desiring only him and save and accept him, nothing else. Right? Everything, Sarvadharman Parityaja. Krishna loves Ananya Bhakti. Krishna loves someone depending on him exclusively. Krishna just loves it. So if anyone in any stage of life, in any condition of life, in any circumstance, tries to perform this Ananya Bhakti even for one moment, moment, that moment, to the extent he performs this Ananya Bhakti, Krishna will reveal who he is, okay, his sweetness, and the truth of this material world, the truth of our existence, and the truth of who he is for that moment. And we will be comforted by that revelation. We will be enthralled by that revelation. We will be, what do you say, quietened by that revelation. You know, that heart that has been pumping for so long, that's been shallow for so long, is soothed by that revelation. And that's the beginning. Okay. So if we again do Ananya Bhakti the next moment, then Krishna will reveal even more. Right? And then even more, and then even more, and then even more. So in this way, anyone who has begun this process of Ananya Bhakti, one moment finds it very difficult to actually give it up if he has actually practiced it even once. He cannot forget it. It's not possible. That's why Krishna says, Ananya Chetaha Satatam. So if you are actually performing this Ananya Bhakti, then you'll be so overpowered by my presence because I will reveal to anyone who actually performs this Ananya Bhakti. And anyone who understands me finds spiritual life very difficult. Me, it's very easy. But anyone who performs spiritual life without me being in the picture, without love, right? So then it becomes very difficult, it becomes very complicated. So the best way to make our spiritual life easy is to understand love means something, I mean, anything spiritual means continuous. And love is the natural form of preserving that continuity without any discipline coming into the picture. The most natural way of preserving continuity, and not just preserving continuity, because continuity could even mean something static, but a heightened state of, what do you say, like every moment more intense than the previous moment. Right? That state could be attained only through the process of bhakti. So this is why Krishna saying, Ananya Chetaha Satatam, yo mam smarati nityaśaḥ, tasyāhaṁ sulabha pārtha, nitya-yuktasya yoginaḥ. So anyone who's understood this principle of surrender has actually understood spiritual life. That is why again say, if we don't understand this principle of surrender, if we don't understand, surrender entails giving all of our efforts, all of our distractions, all of our possessions. And unless we understand this, understand means what? To attempt it at least once every day, to attempt it at least twice every day. Right? So if we have not understood this principle, then we have not even entered spiritual life. If you are not attempting Ananya Bhakti every day to give up everything for Krishna, not even attempting it, okay, what an insult, what a disaster, what a disgrace, right? If you're not even attempting it, I'm saying, no, I'll have my attachments and I'll be in this material. Well, what a fool I am, right? To miss out on Krishna who's offering himself to me, right? So, point being, what's the time? 9:31. Okay. So long story short, we should not be lazy in implementing this Ananya Bhakti, right? We should try to come to this platform. We should attempt to practice pure devotional service. We should not try to normalize quasi-devotional service as our standard. It's a very, very sad state of affairs if we are there. Anyone who is even attempting Ananya Bhakti will find his devotional service very ecstatic. What to talk of actually being in Ananya Bhakti even for a moment? What to talk of being in Ananya Bhakti for many moments? What to talk of being in Ananya Bhakti for hours? What to talk of being in Ananya Bhakti 24/7 like our divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, right? What to talk of? Someone like them, you know. So we should at least attempt, okay? Attempt Ananya Bhakti. Ananya Bhakti means what? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami namaskar. So if I attempt this every day, am I giving up every other dependence that I have? Dependence on the devatas, dependence on this, dependence on that, dependence on my mother, dependence on my father, dependence on my son, dependence on my daughter, dependence on my money, dependence on relatives, dependence on my bank balance, dependence on my job, dependence on my 401k, dependence on my retirement plan, dependence on the movies, so many things. Okay, I should try with muster all my courage, muster all my strength to actually make this happen in my life. And if I do that, now definitely we're going to find Krishna consciousness very ecstatic. Okay, let's stop here. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Devotee Slaves.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Do you want to speak something on Mataji?